Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm Russ Morgan. This is On Deck here on FTSN, back in Florida on the East Coast. Uh, just got back about 2 hours ago. Nice long travel from California. Always fun flying back to the West Coast because you fly back, you leave 7 a.m., you get there at like 1 or 2. When you come back here on the East Coast, it's like, oh man, I lost my whole day because I left at seven this morning, and then I get in at 5:50, loses that whole day because you're losing hours. But always great to be back on the West Coast and see some of the guys that are on my other podcast, Touchdown in Paradise, which usually airs on Wednesdays. All college football. If you're a college football fan, you should tune into that. It's a great show. Three of my other friends from Southern California who live in Southern California. Only one from Southern California. The other two, one's actually from Florida, UCF alum. But if you definitely love college football, you should tune into that one. But this is On Deck, talking all baseball. Today we're going to be talking AL playoff outlook. We're right here in the thick of things, September 11th. So we're right in the thick of things of the playoff race. Playoff race definitely heating up. The East is very competitive, and I thought the East was going to be very competitive all year, and that could go right down to the wire. The AL wild cards looking really competitive. The AL Central is looking really competitive too. So we're going to kick it off with some wild card teams. Right now, we're the Minnesota Twins, 77-68. They're 2.5 games back of the Royals for that. 2.5 back of the Royals. They're in that third wild card slot. So they're holding it strong right now. Holding that third wild card strong. 3 games up on the Tigers. The one thing with the Twins definitely got the one thing I like about the Twins is not a 500 remaining strength of schedule for the remainder of the season. They do have some tough series coming up. They still got Baltimore, they still got Cleveland, they still got Boston, but they do have games against the Angels in Miami and Cincinnati. So that should be a couple series where you should be able to take the series on the Twins' part. Hopefully you'll be able to sweep those to keep those games away. But having played Baltimore, Cleveland, and Boston, but even though Boston has slipped down lately, it's still a tough team. It's still very tough to play Boston. The one thing I could see the Twins, and probably the most of the AL Central teams, they're beating up on the AL Central. Played 14 games so far against the White Sox. They're 13-1, so it's 13 easy wins. You see, the White Sox probably going to be the worst team in MLB history. I think the worst historic team in MLB history is the Cleveland Spiders. I don't really count that. I think I want to say it's the 1962 Mets. They should beat that easily. For the White Sox should beat that easily. If anybody, has the exact number of how many losses the Mets had in that year, you can throw it out. But it's definitely helpful. You're playing 14 games against the White Sox, who can't win a single ball game, which is a pitiful team to watch. And definitely seeing that, it's not Comiskey anymore. That's the old stadium. I know White Sox fans still call it Comiskey, but that's it's dreadful seeing how many people are. It's like Oakland, how many people are in the stands there. But it definitely helps them. You got 14 games against the White Sox. That's 13-1. So there's a lot of wins. They're 7-6 against the Tigers, but they're under 500 in the last 10 games at 4-6. So that's not good. But my biggest question for the Twins is, their strength of the pitching. Obviously, you got Pablo Lopez having a solid year of 15-8 with a 3.88 ERA. Bailey Ober Ober, 12-6 with 3.77 ERA. Who's that third pitcher? Is it going to be a Joe Ryan? If they end up securing that third spot where you're playing a 3-game series, maybe you get to that decisive 3-game to go to the next round of the playoffs. Who's going to be that third guy who get it done? Is it going to be Ryan, who's only 7-7? I don't know. That's a one big question mark for me for the Twins. Is I don't know who's that third guy. I know Pablo Lopez. I picked. I'm a little off. It was my preseason pick for Cy Young in the AL. Don't think that'll happen, but I'm definitely concerned about who's going to be that third guy. I mean, the offense is solid. I mean, you got Willie Castro has been leading the offense, but he's only been 246. Carlos Santana's got got 21 home runs, 36 RBIs. But I mean, you lose Carlos Correa, who's a big piece of that defense and that offense, who just went on the IL with plantar fasciitis, and Brian Buxton, who went on that 10-day too. And Buxton for me was always like, hey, this was a top 100 guy. Top 100 guy, definitely can't stay healthy. So it's kind of, hasn't been able to stay healthy, but it'd be big for the Twins if they get both those guys. Correa would be a big guy they get back because he has massive playoff experience, October experience, World Series experience. So I don't know, can they hold off the Tigers, who are right there, only 3 back? Would be a big question for the Twins. I think they should be able to hold back with only that, a 500 strength schedule. They still got the Angels, still got Miami, still got Cincinnati. Those should be, at least you should get 6-7 wins from that. But you still have to play Baltimore, Cleveland, and Boston. Those are 3 tough series. So we'll see if they can hold on. Right there in the second wild card spot is the Kansas City Royals, who are 2.5 up on the Twins' second wild card spot, 3.5 back of Cleveland for the division. Personally, for me, I love watching the Royals team. I love me being a guy who scouted young players. I love the young players they have. Love watching Bobby Witt, who is one of the most exciting players, young players in the game. And I mean, if Aaron Judge wasn't having such a good year, he'd probably be winning the AL MVP. But Judge you can honestly say he's right there. He's batting .334, 30 home runs, and 99 RBIs. But I like watching the Royals. I love seeing that youth. 498 remaining strength of schedule. They do have Atlanta and Denver, but Denver doesn't have it. It's Colorado. But you still have, you still got Washington, you still got Pittsburgh, you still have San Francisco remaining. So those are winnable series. Very young team. Obviously, you got Bobby Witt as the future of the game. You got Vinny Pasquanino, AJ Melendez, and then you got the veteran journeyman, Salvador Perez. This guy brings great October experience, won the World Series, has been in 2 World Series, won the World Series in 2015. Salvador Perez having a hell of a year. I love seeing that guy's a wall behind the plate. For pitching, I think they got a good one too, with Seth Lugo is having a hell of a year. Who's was he 12-8 with the 2.94 ERA? No. Sorry, I was doing some of my notes at the airport and I could have went really quick on that. Let me get the correct number for Seth Lugo. 16-8. All right. Sorry, I was doing it quick. I might have missed the one. 16-8, 2.94 ERA. So that's a solid number 1 there. But I mean, and Connor Ragner's young pitcher having an okay year, 11-9, 3.33 ERA. I mean, you got the 3-4, you got Brady Singer's 9-10, you got Michael Walker's 12 in center. I think they got a solid 1-2. Who's going to be that third pitcher coming? If they do have the decisive third game, is it going to be Singer, the youth, University of Florida alum? Is it going to be him who's having an okay year? Or is it going to be Michael Walker, who we've seen year in and year out in the playoffs with the St. Louis Cardinals? My opinion, I go Walker is having a solid year, kind of a little bounce back year, a little bouncing around. But I really want to see the Royals, keep it in. I'd love to see the Royals win the AL Central. I don't know if they can get it there, but I'd love to see that because I do love the youth movement they have. I do. I mean, and speaking of the Royals youth movement, they got guys in the system too that are hell good players. And obviously, was it Jack Caglione who's tearing up minor league baseball, was their first pick overall this year. So I think the Royals, even if they don't make some noise in October this year, in the future, I see the Royals keep on moving up, and it's good for the Royals. Obviously, they got young, controllable pieces. You don't see a lot of the big, high-priced free agents wanting to go to Kansas City. So this youth movement's going to be good. Obviously, had that big contract with Bobby Witt in the offseason. But I think they got that wild card spot, in my opinion, wrapped up. They'll get in. We'll see if they. I don't see them catching Baltimore, who we'll talk about right after this. But maybe they do end up catching Cleveland and getting that Central. Only 3.5 back. Do have a big series with Cleveland. Maybe they can pick up a couple games. But I'm excited. I like the Royals. I like that youth movement. And I don't know if you're a baseball fan, I don't know why you wouldn't love watching Bobby Witt. The guy plays the game with his hair on fire, and it's fun to watch. The leader in the wild card race right now is Baltimore. They're 83 and 63. They're 5.5 up on the Royals. Right now, half a game back in the division. That's going to play itself out because the Yankees are a game up in the loss column, which is the only thing that really matters. So that will play himself out, but they do have a tough remaining strength schedule. It's 522. They got that big series against the Yankees. That will probably be that. Just if it does come down to them having to have a head-to-head, they will probably get that head-to-head because of the last two, the couple series they've already got against the Yankees, so that would be good. But the Yankees, I mean, if you get swept that series, I mean, and it comes down to that, the Yankees would win the division, but I don't see that happening just because of the previous series they played with New York. But I mean, you still got the Yankees, still got the Twins, you got the young Detroit team. I mean, you got San Francisco remaining as well on the weaker side. Very, very strong lineup. We're talking about young shortstops with Bobby Witt. One of the next guys you got to talk about is Gunnar Henderson. 282, 36 home runs. I mean, and this guy's just a stud at the shortstop position when he's playing it out there. But the youth movement for shortstops for baseball is very high. We got a lot of young guys that are really, really bringing it up, and I'd love to see these young players doing good, immediate. Obviously, Henderson was a rookie last year, and he's been 282, 36 home runs. I like, I'm the Royals. You got Adley Rutschman, 254, 322 on base percentage. That's a solid lineup. I mean, you got Anthony Santander, got 40 home runs. You got Colby Cowser, another solid guy. You got Mountcastle, you got O'Hearn. So that's a solid lineup. You got Ellie De La Cruz, a guy coming off the bench who could definitely give you some pop, who was traded from the White Sox at that deadline, can give you some serious pop on off the bench. But another super exciting young guy. The amount of young players they got, you can go on and on and on with this Baltimore Orioles team is, Jackson Holliday is right there. He's getting some time, starting to pick it up. What is he going to do if he gets into that first taste of October baseball? Holliday, he's batting 177, but you got to remember what he's batting. .59, .39, and they got sent down. So, I mean, he's behind the 8 ball. So that's kind of solid for him. But just the amount of youth this Orioles, team has on the offensive side of the ball is insane, and guys to spare. And that's kind of going into my next thing about the Orioles is, your ace, who's Corbin Burnes, 13-8, was you have such a strong farm system that they're dealing from depth, so much depth that they could trade for a guy like Corbin Burnes, who's that horse, that first guy off the mound right off, starting that first game of the playoffs, and you expect him to go 6-7 strong innings. I mean, that's a win game every time. But I mean, that's a solid scouting department has done a great job of getting these guys to deal from strength that we've seen from the, speaking of the NL, we've seen the Dodgers do a lot of the Dodgers, what the Dodgers have done during the trade deadline or trading with, when they got Mookie Betts, is they're trading some prospects, but they're such a strong scouting department and farm system that they're not losing. And that's kind of what we're seeing with the Orioles. But I mean, the Orioles, you definitely, your horse is Corbin Burnes. You got Grayson Rodriguez, who's, was a rookie last year. Was definitely a guy who's, it's not being scared. I see the Orioles of not being scared of sending a player down to get a little extra work. They sent Grayson Rodriguez down last year, and when he came back up, he was stronger and he was better. And you see it this year, he's 13-4. So, I mean, I love it that I know you don't want to hurt these guys' feelings. They're athletes can be a little soft, but sometimes you got to send them down to the minors just to get that confidence going back up. And we see that with Jackson Holiday. You saw that with Grayson Rodriguez. But who's that third guy with the Orioles is my big question. I mean, Rodriguez just did get on the 15-day AL. Mountcastle on the 10-day AL. Jordan Westerberg's on the 15-day IL. That was all reported on September 9th, so that could hurt him. But I, in my opinion, even being a Yankees fan, I see them winning the AL East and the Yankees getting that first wild card spot. As of now, they're one game back in the loss column. But I just don't. I see it happen. I think they end up getting that AL East and maybe getting that home field all the way through, I guess, the World Series now. But you definitely have it all the way in the playoffs, in the AL playoffs. I just see that happening. That's my opinion, being a Yankees fan. The leader in the clubhouse right now in the AL West is the Houston Astros, who are 77-67, 5-5 in the last 10. Strength of schedule is 482. They do have Cleveland, they do have Seattle, they do have San Diego, but you got 3 games remaining with the Angels, and you got 7 remaining with the Oakland Athletics the last year. So that should be a good probably 6 out of 7. But I mean, with the Astros, their pitching, I feel their pitching staff's a big question mark. Where you just option future Hall of Famer Justin Verlander, who is supposed to be he's definitely getting a lot older. What is he, 40, 41 now? But you option him. They do have a lot of playoff experience, a lot of October experience, a lot of World Series experience. Obviously, you still got a couple guys remaining from those World Series teams like Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, World Series MVP Jeremy Pena. I mean, you're getting a great offensive year from Yordan Alvarez, batting .312, 32 home runs. Talk about a guy who's just, I mean, if he steps in there, you're talking about Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge being big. This guy's just right up there, 6'6", and it's just a mammoth of a man who steps in the box, and you're scared every time because, I mean, I remember seeing him last year, and it might not have been last year, a couple of years ago, and he just, easy swing, bam, dead center. Just, I mean, the guy's just the amount of power. But I don't know, in my opinion, who is that second and third guy right now with the Astros. I mean, You got Valdez, who's that ace, who's that guy who's been that guy for a while, and obviously October, won a World Series with the Astros. But who's that guy? Who's after him? Is it Hunter Brown? Is it Ronel Blanco? Is it Arginetti? So I don't know. In my opinion, that's a big question mark for the Astros. But that playoff experience, that veteran experience, having Bregman, having Altuve, having Gold Glover Tucker in the outfield, having Yordan Alvarez is going to really help. But I'm a big question mark on their starting pitching. Just because pitching wins in October, that's what gets it done. Pitching wins in October, and I don't know if they have it this year. Obviously, they're up big they're up 4.5 on the Mariners, so I think they got the division, I would say, wrapped up. I think it's theirs to lose, but their starting pitching is a question mark for me. We got right there. As of right now, we got Cleveland, the leader in the clubhouse, right there in the AL Central. 84-62. They're 4 games up on the Royals. They do have their strength schedule is not easy. I mean, it's a 5-10 strength schedule in the remaining of the season. You still got Houston, you still got Minnesota. Those are some really tough games. I mean, Houston's a tough ball team. Minnesota's tough. They're gritty. Kind of play that Midwest game. They're not. I go back to Minnesota. They're not flashy. They don't have a lot of huge name guys, but they find a way to get it done and get into the playoffs. A lot of these years, they have one bad year next year, they're right up into it. So I mean, that's gonna be a tough game. We see Minnesota definitely right there in that wild card hunt. I think, in my opinion, and I would, if anybody's got another opinion or want to say, I think Cleveland's got a lot of question marks, a lot of young contributors, but I mean, you get a lot of guys who'd be getting their first taste of October baseball, and October baseball is a whole different ball game. It's not about being the best team it doesn't matter if you're the best team in the regular season. It's about who's the hottest team, and we've seen in years past where teams with over 100 wins, we saw Dodgers got bounced last year, Braves got bounced last year, not making the World Series, and they've had I can't even remember how many wins the Dodgers had last year, but it was an insane amount, and you get bounced right off the bat. So I mean, it's a different ball game. I mean, with the Indians, that's a young gritty team. You got Stephen Kwan, Oregon State alum, on the center field. He's got leading batting average, batting .290. Jose Ramirez has been there forever, and I mean, that's Cleveland's big sell, big guy, batting .270, 34 home runs. I mean, you got the Naylor brothers are there, Josh and Bo, but getting some big contributors. I'm going back to the same thing. My big the whole theme of the show, almost, which wasn't my main point, but what it's turned out to be is, I've mentioned it, it's pitching. The whole theme of this show, even though I was not trying to go it's just doing all my research and all my baseball knowledge I have. It's all coming down to pitching, and that's what October baseball is. It's all pitching. So I mean, like, even though you go in one way, I'm going to talk this. I was coming in hot this way. I'm coming in, and I feel the Indians are the same way. They got question marks on the pitching staff. I mean, you got Tanner Beebe and Lively are okay. Who's that next guy? Is it Logan Allen? Is it Carlos Carrasco? Both kind of subpar years. Carrasco definitely up and down for a little bit, back with the Indians. I just don't know if the pitching can do it. I want to be, if I get proven wrong, great. In this circumstance, we're talking baseball. So if I'm batting 300, I'm winning, and that's all that matters. So, but I got a big question about their pitching. I just don't know about their pitching. I don't know if they have a strong enough pitching staff to maybe make it past that. because as of now, they'll be playing one of those wild card teams because right now, and as of now, they could get that not have to play in that first three because they do have the best record in the AL as of now. But I don't know if their pitching staff's strong enough to get it done. You can hold them there. Maybe I'm missing something with their bullpen. Their bullpen's really strong. If you're looking at it, 84 and 62, they probably have a very solid bullpen. And I'm going to say I haven't watched enough Indians baseball this year to comment on their bullpen. But seeing their starting pitching, just me knowing baseball, their bullpen's got to be solid enough to keep them in ball games. But I don't know about their starting pitching. Obviously, you had McKenzie who got sent down. He's back up. But my question is in pitching right now. 83 and 62. We got the Yankees 83 and 62. Playing the Royals right now. Lost yesterday. Are losing right now in the top of the fifth. I could talk about the Yankees forever. Right now they're half game up, but like I said, the loss column's all that matters in baseball. So right now they're a game up on the Orioles. That's all that's going to matter. Everybody's playing 162 games. It doesn't matter. So it's all going to matter what's going to come down in the loss column, and then we go to head-to-head. So and the Orioles have head-to-head right now, but you got a 5-1 strength schedule remaining. Still have 3 games against Baltimore. It's going to be tough. A very tough, decisive series. Maybe that series, which is the second to last series in September, will be the one to decide that AL East. I'd sure as hell hope it is. Me being a Yankees fan, I don't want it that way. Me being a baseball guy who's nuts about baseball, I want it that way because I think that's the best for the game. That if we got Yankees Orioles second to last series of the season, fighting for that AL East title, I think that'd be great for the game. But me being a Yankees fan, I don't want that. I want the Yankees to be up 3 games, 4 games by that time, so it doesn't even matter. But on the other hand, you still got 4 games against Boston. Even though Boston has looked not as good as late, Boston definitely started off strong. They're one game, 73-72, 1 game over 500. That's always going to be a tough series. Always going to be a tough series, and we've seen in the past they can steal 2-3 games. So you can never overlook Boston because that's I don't know if anybody's got an opinion. That's if not the best rivalry in sports. In my opinion, is probably one of the best. I would say it was one of the best rivalries in sports, if not the best, the most historic rivalry in sports. Anybody got an opinion? Anybody other rivalry that they think's better? One of the best in sports. I think that's the best one in sports. Obviously, you got college football is a little different. You got baseball. Cubs Cardinals is right up there. Basketball Celtics Lakers. But I think Yankees Red Sox best rivalry in sports. But you're getting an MVP year from Judge, who's batting 320, 51 home runs. Been on a little slump lately, but they're not pitching to him too much. You got Juan Soto, who's batting 290, 38 home runs, 98 RBIs. In my opinion, and this is my opinion. If you got another opinion, I think cool. I think Juan Soto is the best player on that team and one of the best players in baseball. And they need Juan Soto to win because just what he does on that offensive side of the ball. He gets on base. He works counts. He gets base knocks. Soto, in my opinion, Soto is the best player on that team, even though I love Aaron Judge. I love what Aaron Judge does, and Aaron Judge is a must-to-have in New York because he sells the tickets. But we're not here trying to sell tickets. We're World Series. We're not here just to try to win pennants. We're the New York freaking Yankees. We're here to win World Series. In my opinion, it goes back to the biggest question. Pitching. I don't see them having the strong enough pitching staff. Their bullpen is weak. Clay Holmes, who's got the most blown saves in In baseball at 11, I get scared when I see Clay Holmes come in because you never know. A three run lead when Clay Holmes comes in isn't safe. I put Clay Holmes the same way. First time I ever went to Yankee Stadium, went back for my brother's graduation present with uh, my brother, my dad, my grandfather who passed away 4 years ago. Happy birthday, Buppa. It's his birthday today. He would be 102. He passed away at 98. I always said the reason I love baseball so much is because of my grandfather. He would talk about, he was a Red Sox fan too, and I'm a Yankees guy. He was a diehard Red Sox fan. Just to hear about the passion of baseball, talking about Ted Williams, talking about these big guys. Used to play in the band for the St. Paul Saints, which now are a minor league affiliate team. But the reason I love baseball is because of that man. So the first time I got to go to Yankee Stadium was him. Pretty awesome. But going back to my comment, when I see Holmes come in, first time I went to Yankee Stadium, Kyle Farnsworth comes in. And it's literally like, Farnsworth, no. And he finds a way to blow the game. I see that same way about Clay Holmes. That same exact way. I get scared out of my mind. No 3-run lead is safe. But their bullpen's not strong. I don't know who's that guy. Maybe they got to make a change to that closer position. Their starting rotation is a big question mark. Garrett Cole obviously came back from that injury that he almost lost half a year. Has been up and down at best. He's 6-4, but the thing with Cole is, he goes out, he throws a solid performance, and then he throws out a kind of, average to stinker. So, 6-6, he's pitched 75 innings. He's got a 3.36 ERA. Rondon is 14-9. Another guy's a big question mark. Has thrown out some unbelievable performances, and then it's, you don't know with him. He gets kind of rocked. He gets rattled. Stroman, very up and down, not what we signed. Luis Gil, who's been solid, but, he's 13-6, who's been unbelievable, but he's considered a rookie at 26 still, thrown the most pitches he's ever thrown in his career, most innings he's ever thrown in his career in 130. So, do you want to keep on riding this rookie who's coming off Tommy John twice? In my opinion, if he's a hot hand, you got to keep on riding him. I'm sorry. That's how I feel as a fan. If they're winning, keep on going. The other thing is, Clark Schmidt came back the other day and had a hell of a performance against the Cubs. I think it was on Sunday. I hope I'm right on that. No, it was on Saturday. Only throws 4 innings on Saturday, Clark Schmidt, Schmidt was back. When was Schmidt back? Was it Friday? I thought it was Sunday. I'm going nuts here, guys. I'm sorry. Cole lost. I'm going nuts. He threw against the Cubs the other day. So the Cubs are the rain. I'm going crazy, but he was back. He only threw 4 innings, but he was throwing no-hit ball for that 4 innings coming back from that long stint on the injury list on the IL, which is really big because, can we bump a guy I love? I love it. I'm always going to be a nasty Nestor man, Nestor Cortez, but I think he'd be better in the bullpen. His stuff would be better suited in the bullpen because he's not overpowering. He's kind of shifty. He doesn't throw overpowering his fastball. I think he'd be well suited to the bullpen. I love Nestor Cortez. Don't get me wrong. You look up Nestor Cortez's story, it's unbelievable. But I think that'd be a good guy. But, it comes down to the same thing. Pitching. Garrett Cole, up and down. He's definitely, he's that Cy Young guy from last year, but, he's 6-4 now, up and down. Rendon, same thing, up and down. Luis Gil, he's having a hell of – was right there in the conversation for that AL Cy Young for a long time, but he's thrown 130. Clark Schmidt, the same thing. This is his first full year of being a starter. I don't know where that pitching goes, and I mean, I'm looking World Series every year. I don't think we have the team to do it. And even when I'm going back, I think I'm already thinking for next year. I'm like, you have to sign. The problem is you have to sign Soto. You have to give him what he wants because he is the best player on the team. He makes the team better. But you sign him to say a 10-year, if they're lucky, $500 million contract. Who's the pitching going to get you over the top? Because pitching is the only thing that matters in October. It's your pitching staff. It's your pitching staff. It's your pitching staff. And I don't think we have the pitching staff to get us there. We got another surprise team. Detroit's right there. They're only 3 back of the Twins right now. They're in contention, but I'd be excited to see Detroit in the playoffs after watching, trading Jack Flaherty at the deadline, getting rid of one of your better pitchers. But I'd be happy to see the Tigers right there get a playoff spot because Tarek Skubal will be that AL Cy Young. Book it, put it in the books. He's going to win the AL Cy Young. The guys, I love watching Skubal, so I'd love seeing him go right out there in that first wild card game. 3's going to be tough. I think the Tigers definitely, it's a exciting team. A lot of young guys. We got Riley Green. You got Spencer Torkelson. You got, Javi Baez, who's not young by baseball standards, the amount of years he's been in the game, but definitely still young and a super exciting guy, fun to watch. But only 3 back. Anybody got predictions? And my predictions, throw it out if you think I'm wrong. My prediction for me is it's going to be Astros got the West locked up. I think Cleveland ends up getting the Central. Baltimore jumps the Yankees, takes the East, and then it'll be Yankees on top in that wild card spot. It will be, I think the Royals get 2, and I think the Twins will end up. So I think we just get a little jumble off the Yankees, maybe dropping down a little bit because, we've seen the Yankees drop a couple games. They're losing right now, and they're losing in the 5th to the Royals 1-0. 1-0 end of the 5th with Ragan's having a good game, 5 innings, 2 hits. And then Yankees got heel pitching with 5 hits, 1 run, 5 innings pitched. Well, that's how I feel. I think the Orioles end up jumping up. Well, a little score update. Obviously, we talked about the Royals are up. Tigers up 7-4 right now in the 7th on the Rockies. Twins up 4-2 on the Angels. Thank you, Boston. This is the only time I'm going to root for Boston. Thank you, Boston. They're up 2-1 right now on top of the 5th against the Orioles. So let's hope that holds on. Astros just starting against the Athletics. So a little AL news. Guardians beat the White Sox earlier today. Getting a little AL news. I don't know if I moved to the NL a little bit. I just want to throw it out. Paul Skeens, love another guy, great for the game of baseball. Gets his 10th win. He's 10-2. This guy's drafted 1 year ago, and now is just dominant. Not even taking it. There's no blink. He's not having any type of problem with the MLB hitting. It's insane. I love Skeens, but the AL's tight, and I don't. In my opinion, the only jumble I really see is maybe the Royals getting the Central, and in my opinion, I see the Baltimore getting the AL East. That's my opinion. If I'm wrong, hey, I really hope I'm wrong on my AL East prediction. It'd be the first time I'd be super happy I'm wrong because I need that home field advantage. Even though the Yankees kind of play better on the road too, but I need that. So if I'm wrong, I'd be super happy I'm wrong. But I see Baltimore as a better team than New York. Because, even though I am a homer for my team, this is all about baseball. I got to be realistic. This isn't just about my New York Yankees. Maybe one day we'll just talk all Yankees baseball, but this is all baseball. So, in my realistic opinion, I see the Yankees getting that first wild card spot. But I want to thank everybody tuning in today. This is On Deck here on FTSN. I'm Russ Morgan. You guys have a great night.